Raider Nation, tap in. We talking football. My name's Steady, and I got another one like the other one. So I was browsing online, looking for some updates about the team, things like that, and I actually ran into this article written by Mo Moton for Bleacher Report. I believe he covers the Raiders for Bleacher Report right now. This article is basically about 8 players going into their second season of the NFL who's poised to have a breakout season. And one of those players ended up being Jack Bech, wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. Right now, he had a couple of obviously 7 other players, but from different teams. Now, I'm gonna read the little paragraph about Jack Bech, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. The article reads: The Las Vegas Raiders signed Jalen Nailor, who was the Minnesota Vikings' number 3 receiver behind Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, so they don't have a clear-cut number 1 wideout. Las Vegas' passing attack will run through All-Pro tight end Brock Bowers. However, wideout Jack Bech could carve out a notable role after a quiet rookie campaign in less than ideal circumstances. Between October and November of last year, former Raiders head coach Pete Carroll dismissed offensive coordinator Chip Kelly and reunited with former Seattle Seahawks receiver Tyler Lockett, who immediately took on a significant role in the offense. With the youth movement underway in Las Vegas under general manager John Spytek and first-time offensive-minded head coach Klint Kubiak, Bech has a chance to establish himself with a wide receiver corps that lacks a true go-to target. In college, Bech lined up on the perimeter and in the slot, which will allow him more opportunities regardless of formation. He could emerge as a starter and number 2 option behind Bowers in the Raiders area. So as you can see, a very small piece itself, but it was very interesting to see, man. The Raiders wide receiver room in general, they don't get a lot of love, and it is what it is. Everybody has their own opinion, but for Jack, obviously it's second-year players, but Dante Thorne had more playing time than him. I think it would have been more easier to, given the physical traits, given all of those, it probably would have been easier to write about Dante Thorne. You know what I mean? But he chose to write about Jack Bech, and I'm glad he did because I like Jack Bech. I don't think that's a secret. Out of all the videos I've done, I've spoken highly of these guys. For him, Jack Bech as a person, as a player, just in general, it's an interesting journey for him, right? To be a second-round pick, and then to not get that much playing time, to have a 4th-round receiver be favored over you, you know what I mean? And then later on in the season, when you do finally get opportunities, you take advantage of those opportunities, right? And then, not to mention, his brother and everything, like his journey in the past 2 years, I don't think a lot of players will make it through. You know what I mean? That's something that me and Jack Bech have in common. You know what I mean? My brother passed away when we were teenagers, though. You know what I mean? This was a while ago. You know what I mean? But knowing what it's like, knowing what that pain is like, and then having to fight through that, and then still have to deal with, certain situations, like kind of like holding you back in your career, like, and then to see him, the season ended. I don't even think he had an off season. You know what I mean, so to speak. I think he's been in the building damn near every day. You know what I mean, since the season ended. So just to see what he went through, not only at the tail end of his college career, not only as a rookie, but just to see him keep fighting every day, man, keep having that will to get better each and every day. I do think that the skill set is there. Some people talk about separation when, really in the NFL, there's not really any separation to begin with. You know what I mean? But I think that when it comes to receivers, the number 1 thing that you have to have is the ability to catch the ball, right? There's a lot of fans that are hyping up KC Concepcion when he has a 10% drop rate. You know what I mean? Now, in comparison to his peers, their average is around 3%, right? Like 2.5 to 3.2. Like that's the area where his peers are. You know, he has a 10% drop rate, you know, but I think he does all the fancy stuff that people like. But as a wide receiver, you have to be able to catch the ball. You know what I mean? And if you don't, then you better know how to block. And Jack Bech does both of those. You know what I mean? This piece, I think it was done on the right player. You know, out of all of the 2025 rookie class, of course, there's 7 others, but I think Jack Bech deserves that recognition because when he did get the opportunities in 2025, he didn't let those go to waste. You know what I mean? He only had, I think I've seen reports where they said that he has no drops, and then I've seen reports that say he had 1 drop. You know, I'll go with the 1 drop because still that's good. You know, that's a good ratio. That's a good percentage. I think what a lot of people forget, you know, when Klint Kubiak decided to come to the Raiders, you can't, like, it wouldn't make sense to go to a team and, like, think in your head, like, okay, we're going to get this player, this player, this player, and then we're going to do this, you know, because none of that is guaranteed, right? So the idea that you have for this team, the majority of that idea has to be with those foundational pieces who are already in the building when you get there, right? And that includes Jack Bech, you know, Trey Tucker, Bowers, all these guys, right? So I think, like, no matter what they do in the draft, I think that Klint Kubiak has a plan for the players that are already here, man. And I think that, of course, Jalen Nailor is going to get a good amount of targets, right? I don't think that we can deny that. Regardless of whether you want to call him a number 2 or number 3, I think he's going to get a big bulk, right? And they brought him here for a reason. I also think Jack Bech is going to get a lot of targets, right? Of course, Bowers is going to get the most of them, and then from there it'll trickle down, right? But Jack Bech, man, that's a player to look out for. I'm excited to watch him, man, just to watch his journey, man. It's something about, you know, just being a Raider fan, right? I think a lot of fans, they get caught up in wanting to know everything. You know, this is the era of knowing ball. You know, I know ball, you don't know ball. Like, oh, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? As fans, to watch these guys and their journey, you know what I mean? Watch these guys develop. Like, man, I remember when you were just coming into the league, you know what I mean? And now you're this player because you put the work in, you know? And I think Jack Bech could be one of those players, man. And I'm excited to see all the work that he put in, man. I'm excited to see it come to fruition in 2026 and beyond, man. So I think that was a solid piece by Mo Moton, man, over at Bleacher Report. Just wanted to touch on that, but I also wanted to release my top 10 wide receivers in the 2026 NFL Draft, man. There's a number 1 on my list, Jordan Tyson. Yes, that Jordan Tyson. I don't care about medicals. That ain't what I'm talking about. I don't have my own medical team. I don't have my own medical reports, medical evaluations. I'm talking about film. I'm talking about football talent and how that skill set translates to the NFL. Jordan Tyson is still the number 1 wide receiver in this class. Route running, playmaking ability, all of that, right? Deep threat. He had troubles with drops early in his college career, and he worked on that, right? That's development. That's somebody who puts work into their craft, man. And if he can continue on with that, he's going to be a great number 2. Denzel Boston. Not Austin, but Boston. Big body receiver. I was indecisive on putting him at 3 or 2, but I do think that Denzel Boston has more upside going into the NFL, right? He knows how to use his body. He high points the ball, and he has arguably the best hands in this draft class. I think that the NFL field is going to help his skill set more than the college field did, man. So I'm expecting him to develop a lot. In the rest, I got Cornell Tate. Now, I was not high on him at first. I went back, watched it, and said, yeah, he is a better route runner than I thought he was, right? Very smooth, right? He can attack deep, right? He has that long stride. Great hands, right? He high points the ball. That's something that not everybody does, right? Just because you're a big body receiver That does not mean you're going to high point the ball. High pointing the ball is a mindset, right? It takes an aggressive person because you're attacking, right? It's not just about high pointing. It's the mindset to attack the ball at its highest point, man. And Cornell Tate has proven that he does that, right? I don't know if he has much upside. I think what you see is what you get, but what you're getting is a very good wide receiver. Number 4, the forgotten wide receiver in this draft class, Antonio Williams. One of the best route runners, just overall route runner, right? He's not small, but he's not the biggest. But that gives him the ability to be like, he got some wiggle to him, right? He can play inside, play outside. I think he's a true slot that can just move around, right? He doesn't play in a scheme where we're going to scheme you open and beat this coverage, right? It's more so line up, do what you do best, and then we'll get you the ball, man. Antonio Williams, he's still that guy, man. Wide receiver 4 in this draft. 5. At number 5, I got Jeremy Bernard. Some of the best instincts out of this entire wide receiver class, man. He's one of those guys that has a feel for the game, right? A feel for spatial awareness, right? Knows where zones is. He can sit down, right? And he has great hands. His hands remind me of Jacoby Myers. Some of the best hands in the league, man. I think he's one of those guys, man. Inside, outside, it don't matter. He didn't have, it's not a situation where he had a great half season his senior year, right? He's been balling his whole college career since he's been at Washington, right? Number 5. At number 6, I got Elijah Surratt. Yes, he is still the best wide receiver on his team. Elijah Surratt, man, I think he's closer to Puka Nacua is than Jack Bech due to his route running. I think he plays the game faster than what he runs his 40 in. Big, strong guy, right? He could block. He could do all that, man. Great hands, a reliable pass catcher. I do think that he has upside, right? Who he is in college, I think he can be better than that in the NFL, man. And that's one of the reasons why I have him at number 7. I was late to the party, but guess what? I still made it to the party. Omar Cooper Jr. at number 7. Mr. Yards After Catch, Mr. Second Coming of Deebo Samuel. I do believe that he might be a scheme fit type of guy. I'm not too sure because I haven't seen him really, beat somebody based off like running a route, right? It's more so this offense beating this coverage type of deal. But the talent is undeniable. At number 8, I got somebody that's very, very similar in style, maybe not as fluid in his routes. That's Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon is somebody that you got to move around, right? People talk about his route running. It's decent if it's soft man, right? But if you're running press, you got to get him in motion, right? It's good sometimes, it's not so good sometimes. But the talent is there, yards after catch, and he a dog, man. At number 9, I got Zach Branch, the Las Vegas kid himself. Related to Cliff Branch, he has great hands. He's a natural separator, true slot receiver, right? I've been like him since he was at USC. Third round grade, Zachariah Branch. Last but not least, at number 10, I got Malachi Fields. I was going back and forth between Jacoby Lane and Malachi Fields, but I believe that Malachi Fields' skill set will translate better in the NFL than Jacoby Lane. For a big body, you got to have some type of strength, right? Jacoby Lane is more like Keon Coleman, right? He's more of a number 2, right? Malachi Fields is a traditional X receiver. I think his skill set will be highlighted in the NFL, right? Deep threat, possession receiver, red zone receiver, all that, right? A true X receiver, man. And if the Raiders could get Malachi Fields in the 3rd round, bro, just because everybody's overlooking him, let's do it. That's going to do it for this video, man. If you want to help support this channel and help this channel grow, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you ended up liking the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, man. I appreciate you all for tapping in. My name's Steady, and I'll holler at y'all on the next one.